You're standing on the first tee. You just paid almost $50 for a dozen golf balls because the box said they were what the pros play. You tee one up, you swing, and the ball goes nowhere near as far as it should. I did that for 11 years. 11 years of buying the most expensive balls in the shop, thinking premium meant longer. Then I ran a test that embarrassed me, and it changed everything I believed about the little white ball. Here is what I found. If your swing speed has slowed down, and for most of us over 50 it has, the expensive tour ball is stealing distance from you on every single hole. The softer, cheaper ball your grandfather would have understood is the one that actually flies farther for you. This used to be common knowledge among club makers 100 years ago, and then marketing buried it. Stick with me, because near the end I am going to show you something I found in a golf ball patent from 1898, plus a temperature trick tour caddies used for decades that adds free yards this weekend. And this works on your swing, at your muni, with the clubs already in your bag. Not some ideal player, you. Let me take you back to where this started. There is a little 9-hole course near me called Miller's Bend. Flat, tired, the kind of place where the range balls are older than the carts. I was playing there on a cool October morning, and a retired guy in his 70s, thin as a rake, outdrove me by 20 yards with what looked like half my effort. I asked him what ball he played. He laughed and pulled a beat-up box out of his bag. It was the cheapest ball in the pro shop. That laugh bothered me for a month. So I started digging, and the first thing I had to understand was a word almost nobody explained to me in all those years of buying balls. Compression. Compression is simply how much a golf ball squishes when your club strikes it. Every ball has a compression number, roughly from the 30s up past 100. A high number means a firm ball that barely deforms. A low number means a soft ball that squashes more easily. Here is the part the shop never tells you. To get distance, you have to actually compress the ball. You have to squish it against the face so it springs back and launches. If you cannot compress it, you leave energy on the table. And whether you can compress a ball depends on one thing: your swing speed. Think of it like a diving board. A heavy, stiff board only launches you if you hit it hard enough to bend it. A lighter, springier board flings you into the air even with a gentle bounce. The tour player swinging 115 miles per hour needs the stiff board. He hits it hard enough to load it. But if you swing 80 miles per hour, that stiff tour ball never bends for you. You are jumping on a board that will not move. All that stored energy just sits there and dies. I measured my own swing speed on a launch monitor at an indoor place one winter, 83 miles per hour with the driver. I had spent over a decade playing a ball engineered for men who swing 30 miles per hour faster than me. 30. It was like buying racing tires for a car that never leaves the neighborhood. That number, 85 miles per hour, turns out to be the line that matters. Fitters treat it as the rough cutoff. Swing the driver slower than about 85, and you are almost certainly not compressing a high-compression ball the way it needs. And here is the frustrating part. Most amateur men over 50 are somewhere between 75 and 90. Most women and most seniors are well below 80, which means the majority of the people buying golf balls are buying exactly the wrong kind. But I did not want to trust a fitter or a launch monitor reading and just take their word. I had been burned by golf marketing too many times. I wanted to run the experiment myself. Therefore, I went and bought the softest, lowest compression ball I could find and put it head-to-head against my beloved expensive tour ball. What happened next is the reason I am making this video. To understand what I tested, you have to know where this soft ball idea actually came from, because it is not new. It is more than a century old. For most of golf's early life, players hit a ball called the feathery. It was a leather pouch stuffed with boiled goose feathers, hand-sewn, and it cost a fortune. A skilled maker could produce maybe 3 or 4 in a day. Then in 1848, a man named Reverend Robert Adams Patterson made a ball out of gutta percha, a hard rubbery sap from Malaysian trees. They called it the gutty. It was cheaper and it flew, but it was hard as a rock and did nothing for a slower swing. Then came the moment that matters. In 1898, an American named Coburn Haskell, working with a man from the B.F. Goodrich Rubber Company named Bertram Work, wound a long strand of rubber thread tightly around a small core and wrapped a cover around it. He patented it the following year, in 1899. This was the rubber cord ball, the Haskell ball, and it changed the game forever. Why? Because it had spring. It compressed and rebounded. For the first time, an average golfer could get extra yards not from swinging harder, but from a ball that gave energy back. That was the whole point. The Haskell ball made distance available to the ordinary player, and for the next several decades, ball makers understood their customers were regular people with regular swings. They built balls that were lively and soft and forgiving. That knowledge, that a softer ball helps a slower swing, was baked into the whole industry. So what happened? Why did we all end up chasing firm, expensive balls we cannot use? It came from the top down. Starting in the late 1990s and into the 2000s, a new kind of ball took over professional golf, a multi-layer ball with a firm cover that gave tour players incredible control and spin around the greens. The pros loved it, and the marketing machine did what it always does. It told the rest of us that if we wanted to play like them, we needed their ball. Suddenly, the whole industry pointed toward high compression, high spin, premium-priced balls. The old wisdom that most golfers swing too slow to use those balls quietly disappeared from the conversation. It did not serve the product they most wanted to sell. I did not know any of that history when I did my test. I just knew that old man at Miller's Bend outdrove me with a $4 ball. So one Saturday I brought 2 sleeves to the range, my usual tour ball, compression right around 100, and a Wilson Duo Soft which sits near a compression of 35, about the lowest you can buy. I hit 20 shots with each, driver only, and I wrote down the carry numbers off the launch monitor like my life depended on it. The tour ball averaged a carry I already knew and hated. The soft ball, the cheap one, carried an average of 7 yards farther. 7. And it was not just distance. The soft ball launched higher and the spin numbers dropped, which meant it held its line instead of ballooning up and falling out of the sky the way my drives always did into a breeze. I stood there on that range mat feeling like a complete fool. 7 yards a drive is the difference between a wedge into the green and a mid-iron. Over 18 holes, it is a different round of golf entirely. But here is where it got worse, and where I want you to lean in, because that 7 yards was just the driver. The bigger cost was hiding somewhere I never thought to look. I always believed the expensive ball saved me around the greens. That was the story I told myself to justify the price. The tour ball spins more on short shots, it checks up, it stops by the flag. That part is actually true. A firm cover tour ball does spin more on a crisp wedge shot. So I figured, fine, I lose a few yards off the tee, but I gain it back with control near the green. Except I decided to test that too, because by now I did not trust a single thing I had assumed. I went to the short game area and hit pitch shots, chips, and little bump and runs with both balls, 20 of each, and I watched where they finished, and the truth deflated me all over again. To actually generate that extra greenside spin, you have to deliver real club speed and a clean, descending strike with a lofted wedge. The pros do that. I do not consistently, and neither do most weekend players over 50. On my normal chips and pitches, the soft ball behaved almost identically. The spin advantage of the tour ball only showed up on the kind of aggressive, full wedge shots I almost never hit well anyway. So I was paying a premium for a benefit that only exists at a swing speed and strike quality I do not own. I was buying a professional's tool and getting an amateur's result, and I did it for over a decade, box after box, chasing spin I could not produce. That sting of realizing the wrong ball had been quietly costing me yards every single round is exactly the hole I wanted closed for good. So I put everything I dug up into a set of books called The Complete Ball Fitting System. First Wind spells out why tour balls actively hurt slower swing speeds and decodes the compression numbers for swings under 90 miles per hour, and it names the exact ball model for players under 75 miles per hour. Ball Mastery goes deeper with a low spin distance formula built for 60-plus swing speeds and a simple scorecard analysis that reveals your real ball problem. The whole thing gives you the full compression map from the slowest swings up to 90, and the complete fitting protocol needs no launch monitor at all. Here is a free check you can run tonight at your kitchen table before you spend a dime. Grab your current ball, look up its compression number, then be honest about your best driver carry in the air. If your carry is around 220 yards or less and your ball's compression is up near 100, you have just caught the mismatch these books are built to fix, with your own 2 eyes and 0 cost. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And here is the honest reason to sort this now, not next season. Every round you play with the wrong ball is distance you never get back, a cost that is already running whether you notice it or not. Call the book or collection, whichever you like, but grab it and stop the leak. Now right about here is where a lot of you are thinking, that is fine for him, he went to an indoor place and got his swing speed measured on a fancy machine. I do not have a launch monitor. I am not driving to some simulator lounge. I just want to play better this weekend with what I have got. I hear you, and I promise you do not need any of that equipment. There is a way to find your ball at home, tonight, for nothing, and I use it to help every friend I have talked into switching. Here is the free test. You do not need to know your exact swing speed in numbers. You need to know 2 things you already feel. First, be honest about your driving distance. If your best drives carry somewhere around 220 yards or less in the air, you are almost certainly in slow to moderate swing speed territory, and a low compression ball is for you. Second, do the sound and feel test on the putting green. Take a firm tour ball and a soft low compression ball and putt them both. The soft ball will feel and sound noticeably muted, almost like it clicks a fraction softer off the face. If that softer feel is pleasant to you, and for most slower swingers it is, that ball will reward you everywhere else too. And you can prove the distance thing to yourself on any range for the price of a small bucket. Do exactly what I did. Buy 1 sleeve of a soft ball, keep 1 of your current balls, and hit them back to back, 10 each, driver, and just watch which ones land farther down the range. Your eyes do not lie, and you do not need a screen full of data. The gap showed up for me by the 4th or 5th ball. I would bet real money it shows up for you too. The point is, this is not a rich man's experiment. The soft balls are the cheap balls. That is the beautiful irony of the whole thing. Doing the right thing for your game also costs you less. You are not spending more to play better. You are spending less. The convenience economy trained us to believe those 2 things can never happen at once, and here they happen together. So let me give you the actual balls, the ones I tested and now keep in my own bag going into this season, because a principal without a shopping list is useless. At the very softest end, the one I hit my 7 extra yards with, is the low 30s compression softball. Wilson makes the Duo Soft in that range, and it has been sitting near the softest ball you can buy for years. If you have the slowest swing, if you are a senior player, or someone who has lost speed to a bad back or a bad shoulder, start here. It launches high, it feels like butter, and it gets airborne with almost no effort. Step up slightly and you get the balls in the high 30s to mid 40s compression, and this is where most slower players actually live. Callaway makes the Super Soft, which sits around a compression of 40 and is probably the single most popular softball in the country for a reason. Titleist makes the True Feel, right around 45, and I will admit it hurt my pride to learn that Titleist, the very company whose tour ball I overpaid for, makes a soft ball that is better for my swing at less than half the price. Srixon makes the Soft Feel, a touch firmer, around 60, which is a great bridge if your swing is on the quicker side of slow. And if you want a little more bite around the green without going all the way back to a rock, Bridgestone makes a ball in the E-Series with a cover designed to grab the grooves at slower speeds, and it splits the difference nicely. There are also direct order brands like Vice and Kirkland that sell softballs by the dozen for a fraction of the shop price, and in my testing the cheaper ones held up shockingly well. Notice what all of those have in common. Not one of them is the flagship tour ball, not one of them is the $50 box. Every ball that helped my slow swing was a ball the marketing quietly steers you away from, because there is less money in it for them and more distance in it for you. Therefore I thought I had the whole answer. Play a soft ball, save money, gain yards, done. But then I found something in my digging that made me realize I still had free distance sitting on the table, and it had nothing to do with which ball I bought. It had to do with something almost nobody thinks about, and this is the part I most want you to remember. Here is the setup. Take the exact same ball, the exact same swing, and it will fly different distances on different days. Not because of wind, because of temperature. And once I understood why, I found a trick that goes back to the days of hickory shafts and wool sweaters, a trick tour caddies have quietly used for as long as there have been tournaments in cold weather. Let me explain the science first, because it is simple and it is real. A golf ball is full of rubber and polymer, and those materials behave differently at different temperatures. When a ball is cold, the rubber stiffens. A cold ball becomes, in effect, a higher compression ball. It gets harder, it squishes less, and it rebounds with less energy. When a ball is warm, the rubber is livelier, it compresses more easily, and it springs back harder. For a slow swinger, that is everything, because you are already fighting to compress the ball at all. A cold ball makes your compression problem worse. A warm ball hands you free spring. The numbers on this are not small. Testing by ball makers and by independent labs has found that a golf ball can lose roughly 2 yards of carry for every 10 degrees Fahrenheit the temperature drops. Play on a 40-degree morning instead of a 70-degree afternoon, and that same drive can come up around 6 yards shorter for no other reason than the cold. Golf researchers have measured it again and again. Cold air is also denser, which adds a little to the effect, but the ball stiffening is a huge part of it. Now here is the forgotten part, the buried wisdom. Long before launch monitors, players and caddies knew that a cold ball was a dead ball. So in cool weather they kept a second ball warm and rotated it in. The idea traces right back to the logic of that 1898 Haskell patent I mentioned. The whole ball was built around the springiness of warm rubber thread, and the men who wound those balls understood that a chilled ball lost its life. On cold tournament days, a caddy would carry a spare ball in a trouser pocket, close to the body, and hand the player a warm one on the tee, then tuck the just-played ball away to warm up again. They rotated 2 balls all day, so the player was always teeing off with the livelier one. I read about that and thought it sounded like superstition. So of course I tested it, because that is what I do now. On a cold spring morning, about 45 degrees, I took 2 identical soft balls. One I left sitting in my bag in the cold overnight. The other I kept in my jacket pocket against my chest for the drive to the course and through the warm-up. Then I hit them side by side. The warm ball carried noticeably farther and felt alive off the face, while the cold one felt like hitting a stone and dropped out of the air early. On the launch monitor later I confirmed it. Several yards, from nothing but temperature. Free distance that costs $0. So here is exactly what you do this weekend, and you can do it with balls you already own. When it is cool out, keep 2 balls in a pocket close to your body, not in your bag. Tee off with a warm one. After the hole, swap to your second warm ball for the next tee shot and let the first one warm back up against you. Rotate them all day. In cold weather, that little rotation can save you the better part of a club on every drive. And whatever you do not leave your golf balls in the trunk of your car overnight in winter and then go play the next morning. You will be teeing off with cold, stiff, dead rubber and wondering why you lost 20 yards. I did that for years without a clue. There is one more piece to it that turns this from a cold weather trick into an all-year advantage. Store your golf balls at room temperature, indoors, not in a hot garage that swings from freezing to baking with the seasons. Extreme heat over long periods can degrade the ball too. A ball kept in a stable, comfortable indoor spot and brought to the course fresh will simply perform closer to how it was designed. It is the smallest thing. It is almost embarrassing how small it is. And it is the kind of free, common-sense knowledge that used to travel from one player to the next in every clubhouse, until the game got so wrapped up in selling you the next new ball that nobody bothered to tell you the old ball in your pocket flies farther when it is warm. That is the whole secret, and it is the opposite of what the marketing wants. They want you focused on the price tag and the tour logo. The real distance for a slower swing was never in the expensive box. It was in matching the softness of the ball to the gentleness of your swing, and in something as humble as keeping that ball warm in your pocket the way a caddy did 100 years ago. When I put it all together, the soft ball and the warm ball, I gained back distance I thought was gone for good, distance I assumed I had lost to age. I had not lost it to age. I had lost it to buying the wrong thing and storing it the wrong way. Getting those yards back felt like getting a piece of my game returned to me, a piece somebody had quietly taken while I was not looking. And that is really what this comes down to. If you are the kind of person who suspects that a lot of what we are sold is designed to keep us paying and keep us dependent, that the simple, sturdy, sensible way our fathers did things got buried under shiny packaging and clever slogans, then you already understand what happened here. The knowledge that a slow swing wants a soft ball was common a century ago. It got buried because there was more money in the firm, expensive ball, but it never stopped being true, and now it is yours again. So let me ask you something specific, and I really do want you to answer this one. What is your honest driver carry distance, and what ball are you playing right now? Drop it in the comments below. Just those two things, your carry and your ball. I read them, and I promise you some of you are going to realize in the comments, talking to each other, that you have been playing a ball built for someone 30 miles an hour faster than you. Tell me. Leave the comment. This audience is quiet, and I am asking you directly to speak up, because your number might be the thing that saves the next person scrolling by. And if you believe, like I do, that a lot of genuinely useful knowledge got pushed aside to keep us buying the expensive version, then come along with the rest of us who are digging it back up one piece at a time. In the next one, I am going to show you the truth about golf shafts, specifically why the stiff shaft in your driver might be costing you even more distance than the wrong ball did, and the simple flex test you can do at home to prove it. You do not want to miss that one, because if the ball fooled you, wait until you see what the shaft is doing. I will see you there. Before you go, let me tell you where this leads. Inside the Old Ways circle, I share the full ball-by-ball results this video only overviewed, so you can choose with confidence. There, you can ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be alone. Thousands of Old Ways folks like you are already inside. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen and cancel anytime, no risk. I'd love to see you in there. Now that you know the best balls for your swing, let me help you avoid a costly mistake. I'll show you the 5 low compression balls that give you more distance and softer feel. It's starting right here.